Hi everyone, my name is Merritt Murphy and this will be my Chapter 11 summary of ethical leadership and followership. So the chapter starts out by describing ethics, and their definition refers to ethics as a standard of moral conduct, to judgments about whether human behavior is right or wrong. The investigation of ethics is critical when focusing on leadership. I definitely agree with this point. I think that ethics is essential in every part and in every job that anybody would encounter, whether it be in the medical field, the education field, in a business setting, just any setting. I think that ethics and like a code of ethics is really, really important to have just anywhere in any business. So moving forward, the ethical implications of a leader's plans must be considered, since the exercise of unethicals can have devastating results. The book goes in to talk about how Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin are good examples of this, and how it's really important. Like, you might not think that even like in politics it might not be important to have ethics, which obviously arguably is not true, but again, it just shows like how impressionable people are, and if you don't have any ethics, especially in the highest leadership position in the nation, then it can show how terrible things can go. So then it talks about how leaders must weigh the impact they have on their followers as well as on others external to the group, organization, or society. So this is something, again, really, really important to consider in just every organization. If your leaders are or your followers are really young and impressionable, this is going to kind of weigh on your ethics, and it goes to show just how impressionable those people are and how you need to be extra careful of what you're saying and portraying on them. If your audience might not be just any kind of learning disability, you have to take those things in mind. Just any kind of like impact that could have, you must consider when you're thinking of like ethics and how your followers might portray that. So how leaders respond to these ethical challenges, issues of information, responsibility, power, privilege, etc., will determine if they cast more light than shadow, which I really liked that the book said. That's a really nice analogy. But again, this is also critical. These are things you might not think of, issues of information or power or even privilege, but it's something to think about, and how if you misuse those, how does that like impact your ethical standards, of course. So leaders typically have access to more information than followers do. Something to think about when you're, of course, discussing ethics, because what to do with this information may raise ethical questions, of course. So, of course, piggybacking into that, the book describes saying being in the know raises a number of complicated ethical dilemmas. Several. several. So one of those is deciding whether or not to tell the truth. This is something really difficult that we might not always think of, especially like in the workplace. You always think like, oh, you should definitely tell the truth, but the book goes on to say leaders also do practice deception, either to further their own interests or to promote the interests of the group or company. So it's something to think about. They might be lying to you to not only benefit themselves, but because they might perceive it as a benefit to the company. So it's something to think about. How leaders obtain information can be like a concern as well. Like, were they eavesdropping? The book even discussed like how the United States like took affirmative action, I guess, after 9/11, and how that was like an ethical debate for a lot of people, and whether or not that was something that the state should or the government should be doing. Another example that I thought was super interesting, the book gave an example of how police officers are wearing body cams, of course, in recent years. So we have all that body cam footage. So it's a good thing. It can protect them and like, like I said, protect them and just show that they were doing the right thing or they weren't. But then it also is an ethical dilemma that I didn't even think about, but like that might violate their privacy and they might be revealing information that they don't want other people to know. So that's something that I didn't take into account either. So all of these factors should definitely be considered when discussing ethics. So thank you so much for watching.